Hello and welcome to another Record Sport Facebook Live. My name is Daniel Cott and I'm delighted to be joined by Record Sport's David McCarthy and Michael Gannon. Guys, how are you both?
Good, thanks.
Good, thanks. Good morning. Happy Monday morning.
Aye, absolutely. And what a bit! There's not a better way to start the week off than to look back over another hectic weekend in the Premiership. And David, I think the best place to start is Easter Road on Saturday. Rangers and Hibs in a 2-2 draw. Brilliant game. But Willie Collum was in the spotlight once again. What did you make of his overall performance?
I think Willie would be quite delighted because he was the star of the show, wasn't he? He was the guy that everybody was talking about after the game, and that's certainly not the first time in his career that that's been the case. Where do you start? I suppose you would start with the penalty. You know, was it a penalty? I think it probably was, but I know there was loads of people who didn't think it was, and I wasn't at the game. Obviously, I saw it on the telly, but I know that even in the press box there was a huge amount of debate about whether it was a penalty. Even when guys have looked at it 4 or 5, 6 different times, I thought Bashiri was just daft. I think he did give him a decision to make, and we all know that particular referee likes to make a decision. So I think it was a penalty. Red cards, Lundstram's for me wasn't. I didn't see any real difference between that and the Doyle Hayes challenge in the first half, which resulted in a yellow card. So I think there's a bit of inconsistency there. Morelos' red card, absolutely, it's a red card. And for him to even give Willie Collum that decision to make when his team's already down to 10 men was ridiculous. And you know, I think the fact that James Tavernier came out right after the game and described him as stupid would tell you what the feeling inside the Rangers dressing room was about that one. There was a bit of debate at the time about whether it was a red card or not, but looking back on it, that's a red card all day long when you do that. And ultimately Hibs battered them in the last 10 minutes trying to get back into the game, and they got their goal, and that can't be denied. And just one more thing is that I do think that the Rangers' performance was kind of lost in all the controversy. Rangers didn't at all play well and really didn't deserve any more than they got out of the game.
Mm-hmm. And Mick, obviously David says that the Lundstram, and I think everyone, regardless who you support or whatever, everyone would need to accept that's a harsh straight red card. But Morelos, how many times have we been here with Morelos over the years? It just seems mad that we're still debating things like this.
Well, it's been a while since the kind of the old red mist has descended on Alfredo Morelos. I think his last red card was December 2019 against Celtic. So it seemed to kind of clean up his act a wee bit. But that was like old school Alfredo, wasn't it? That was like kind of getting frustrated and things not going his way. And he knows what he's doing. It's a red card every day of the week. If he felt his arm out to see who the guy was, then clocked him with his forearm, it's a red card. I mean, I don't think anyone's can argue against that one. Lundstram, never a red card in any capacity. I mean, you've seen the one when Jake Douglas' tackle was much worse. Actually, I thought it was a worse tackle than the Lundstram tackle. We saw one on Match of the Day yesterday as well. The Trippier one, Man City Newcastle, exactly the same. He gets a red card as well. Incidentally, then it gets rescinded with VAR. But this is the elephant in the room. We must be the only country in the world to eventually bring in VAR, but not bring it in at the start of the season. We're sitting here waiting patiently to December to get VAR halfway through a season. So decisions like the ones on Saturday that prove costly to teams are not going to get fixed at the time, but they will get fixed in January. We've completely damaged our season, but let's carry on. We're 3 years late in bringing in VAR, and we're bringing it halfway through a season, which is going to make decisions. The great line was always they balance themselves out over the course of the season. Well, this year they're not going to balance themselves out because in January that's going to get fixed properly at the time, whereas now it's not. The teams are going to drop points left, right, and centre for 3 or 4 months, and these are going to get resolved in the second half of the season. It's preposterous, this situation we're in. The referees are not good enough. They're making mistakes on a weekly basis. They have got these tools that can help them out, and we're not using it till later on. We're so incompetent that we can't bring it at the start of the season. It's preposterous.
Do you think, though, Mick, the VAR would have changed any of those decisions? Well, not VAR changing them, because VAR, as the SFA will tell you, don't change the decisions. They advise the referee to have another look at the decisions.
Yeah.
I don't no, I'm not convinced that VAR would have changed the decision in the Rangers penalty, because I don't think there was a clear and obvious error by Collum in that one. So I don't think so. But they might have asked Willie Collum to go and look at the Lundstram one again. But would Willie Collum have changed his mind? I'm not convinced he would have. And although it's a wrong, you see it all the time with VAR, that it looks as if there should be a change of a decision, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And I'm not convinced that Willie Collum would have changed his mind in any of those decisions.
Well, this is the problem we're going to have, because VAR isn't some kind of robotic ref that gets decisions right just automatically. Unfortunately, VAR is used by human individuals. And at the moment in Scottish football, our human individuals are only making the right decisions. So who's to suggest they're going to get the right ones when they get video as well? Right. So I take the point, David. I think the Lundstram one, I think you look at that again, a few angles, you think it's not a violent conduct issue. It's not intent to injure. It's not out of control. It's a sneaky little professional foul, which happens all the time. And it's a booking. Likewise, it's the same situation with the Hearts and Celtic game. Those second yellow cards for the Hearts as well, those kind of sneaky little professional fouls that are a booking. And I think they were bookings. I don't think VAR would have saved those boys. But I think Lundstram red card wouldn't have happened. I think Hibs might have had a penalty as well if there was VAR. I think they might have looked at that one. If they're given the one for the Colak incident, I think Hibs might have had one as well. The Rangers penalty is a penalty, I suppose, in the modern game, isn't it? But are we giving penalty kicks for putting your hand on a player at any capacity? As soon as you touch a hand on a player, they're allowed to go down as a penalty kick. I get it. That's the modern game, but we've turned into netball, haven't we? That as soon as you put a hand on someone, it's a penalty kick. Quite how putting a hand on someone's hip makes you fly face first to the grass, I don't know, but they all do it. And they'll say it, I felt a touch, so I'm entitled to go down. It's modern game, I suppose. It's a penalty kick. Doesn't mean it's not depressing.
Yeah, true.
And just on Rangers, guys, before we move on, David, huge week for them. Eindhoven on Wednesday night, Champions League group stage, and we all know what that entails at stake. Do you think they'll have enough to get by PSV?
No, I'm not sure that they will have, just simply because I don't think that they're playing that well. I don't think they played great away from home at Livingston at the start of the season, the first game. They didn't play well. I don't think they didn't play well at all on Saturday at Easter Road. They didn't play well in Belgium when they lost 2-0 to Union. So I've got my concerns for them, I must admit. I thought PSV were a right good side, but I also thought Rangers played well at Ibrox as well. I just thought it was a cracking game. I think that a draw was absolutely the right result that night. Obviously, it would be great if Rangers could pull something out the bag, but I've just got a feeling that they're away for them. They're not quite on it, and I think that they might listen. They could go through. I said after the game that it was a 55-45 in PSV's favour now, because it is still really, really tight. But I've just got a feeling that PSV might just have enough for them.
What do you think, Mike? Do you think Rangers will go over the line, or is it just too big an ask?
I think Davey's probably right, but I'm going to take the opposite point of view for the sake of conversation. Rangers need to produce something. Need one of these special nights, and they've done it before. They've done it last season, and we didn't really expect certain results, and they popped out there, and the performances were outstanding. They need something like that again. PSV are a good side. I think let's see how they cope with the expectation. They're at home, and they're now expected to qualify. They've also got a few players that are getting linked with moves around the continent and big moves and all that stuff. That can either be a motivating factor for these guys or a distraction. So there's a few issues going on with PSV. I said they're a good side, but there's a few things going on with them as well that make it interesting. I think Rangers got a puncher's chance. I think PSV are the heavy favourites, but Rangers have got it in the locker to pull out these big performances when we maybe don't expect it. And they've always got a goal on them, Rangers, especially in games against so-called better teams, because they get a wee bit more space. They can hit in the break. If you get deliveries like James Taverni's right boot, there's always going to be an opportunity to get a cross in the box or a set piece. I think it's a live tie. I wouldn't quite write the Rangers off just yet, but it's going to take another one of these big special performances.
It's not going to be enough for each, that's for sure. Both of their attacks are far better than both of their defences. So there will be goals. Rangers will score. It's whether they can keep them out at the other end enough. that's my big concern.
The only way to guarantee a goalless draw is if I put on both teams to score my cooking. So that's the only chance.
I think that'll be a brilliant game. I can't wait Wednesday night. I don't want to turn this into the referee show, guys, but Celtic against Hearts yesterday, the referee was pointed out, I think it was Kevin Clancy, by Robbie Nielsen after the game. Mick, I thought Robbie Nielsen was a wee bit, for want of a better phrase, I thought...
Listen, Robbie's been cute. Listen, he's at it. Nobody knows it. It's 2 years. I mean, I don't think you get any more Stonewall yellow cards. The only thing I would say is that the Civic one at the end, a bit of discretion from the referee. It's 90 odd minutes. The game's done. Well, technically, it's only 1-0. I suppose we got to lose the letter of the law, but it's a booking. They're both bookings. The 4 incidents involved, the 2 players were all bookings. So I guess whether it takes the first minute or the last minute, it doesn't matter. They're still bookings. I think Robbie's been cute. I think his team played quite well. Made a lot of change. I think it shows that Hearts have got a bit of strength and depth there. Because most weeks they're not playing against Celtic or Rangers. Most weeks that team they put out at Parkhead would cope most weeks in Scotland. With 7 changes, missing the likes of Craig Gordon, Stephen Kingsley, Lawrence Shanklin, Cammy Devlin. These are not Craig Halkett, big players in that team, and they can afford to play quite well without them. So I think Hearts get out there with a lot of kind of positivity, kept the boys in cotton wool, and I think Robbie was just a wee bit naughty, just kind of pointing the finger at the ref to insulate his team a wee bit. But is they're all inclined to do, so fair play to him.
And David, I just on the pitch in terms of Celtic, 2 players that I think have been outstanding this season and the back end of last season. One, Dyson Maeda, another assist at the weekend. He's averaging an assist every 74 minutes for Celtic. But Greg Taylor as well. I'm so happy to see Greg Taylor doing well after a difficult start at Celtic. I mean, he's been absolutely sensational the opening sort of 4 or 5 games of the season.
Yeah, and I think he's shown he's got a bit about him by his obvious reaction to Celtic bringing in and spending decent money on a left back. With Bernabei coming in. I think a lot of people thought that boy would go straight into the team at the expense of Greg Taylor, but Taylor is playing so well that he just can't be left out the side. Fair play to him. He's done great. Maeda has been terrific for Celtic. I think even last season when he was still finding his feet, he was still contributing. But now they're getting an end product out of him every game. You tally that up with Kyogo's obvious class and goal scoring ability, and and you've got Giakoumakis, who is probably a bit annoyed that he's no starting games, but coming on and contributing every time as well. And I don't think Celtic could have got a much better start to the season, to be honest with you. I think they're playing they might not be playing absolutely brilliantly, but they are winning games with a degree of comfort. I think that Rangers are not winning games.
Mm-hmm. And it's shaping up nicely, Mick, for a couple of weeks from now. Celtic and Rangers, it's creeping up on us already, the first clash of the season.
Yeah, and listen, the nature of a title race is now that every point's a prisoner, and Rangers dropping points at Hibs. It makes it interesting because obviously if it stays the same the game, all of a sudden it's a 2-point swing, could be a 5-point gap. These are things that start to kind of matter quite early on. And that first game is going to be crucial. I can't really agree with Dave. I think Celtic have got a few gears still to find. I don't know if they scored early yesterday and thought it was going to be about a canter. It didn't turn out that way because Hearts were so resilient, and it got a bit stodgy, and it was a bit kind of a bit meh, wasn't it? Wasn't Celtic? I don't think they played that great. Created a lot of chances right enough, but I guess that's what we're saying, that they created 4 or 5 great chances to score in a game they weren't really at their best. So it'll be interesting. I think bigger tests ahead for Celtic. They've had 1 game a week for 4 weeks now. And I think that helped them in the first few weeks. And I think it's actually hindered them last weekend. I think they look like a side that's still waiting to get some momentum that haven't managed to build up yet. And when it gets to that 2 games a week, I think that will help Celtic. Actually, I think they're looking a wee bit lacking in match sharpness. I think they could do with some more games. It sounds a bit daft because managers always moan about fixture lists. I think they look a wee bit kind of short. But 4 out of 4, and they've scored 12 goals and lost 1, so they can't really complain. I think there's more to come from them.
And David, just on Hearts to finish, I think Thursday night, Zurich at home at Tynecastle, I think it'll be a big night, and I think Hearts will go through.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm really looking forward to that. I think Tynecastle will be absolutely bouncing. there's no actually I know last season Ibrox, when Rangers had the run to the final, Ibrox was absolutely magnificent in terms of atmosphere and all that. But you know, you go a long way to find a better ground than Tynecastle when it's full and on a big European night. I was lucky enough to kind of work in Edinburgh when Hearts were regularly in Europe, and those nights are special, and those fans will absolutely get behind their team 100%. I think Hearts will win that, and probably more comfortably than a lot of people might think. I think Hearts will go through all right.
And it's brilliant, Mick, that they've already got Conference League, you know, to parachute, what have you. But to make it to the Europa League group stages would be brilliant for Hearts, an amazing achievement.
It would be huge. About time, to be honest with you. About time one of our teams got to the Europa League group stages. I think this could be the time. I'm going to the game on Thursday night. I need to take in a box of chocolates for the guy who does the rota in our place. I'm actually going to the game on Thursday night. So an apple and a box of roses for sitting somewhere. I can't wait. I think Davey says you can't beat Tynecastle when it's rocking. Is a fantastic venue. And I just hope that Hearts can go off to a good start and kind of spook Zurich a wee bit. They're a decent. I know they've had a horrendous start to the season in Switzerland. They look a decent side. They look quite clinical in the first leg. Again, I think there could be goals as well in that one. But yeah, just something brewing, isn't there, at Tynecastle? I think this could be one of those big nights. And it's, as I say, it's a big about time we got a Scottish team in that competition. For a change, we've seen teams in Ireland getting there and all that stuff, and it's about time one of your guys stepped up and got in there and tried to mix it with some good teams. So yeah, I think they can do it. I think they can take a good start, good atmosphere, and turn it around, and hopefully we'll get a bit of fun and games up to Christmas with them.
Elsewhere in the Premiership, David, I mean, Dundee United at the weekend, you'd have thought after the week or 10 days they'd had at home to St Mirren, you know, on paper, a great game for Jack Ross and his team to kind of bounce back. It really didn't go that way. And Jack Ross...
Sorry, Daniel, what are you saying?
No, I just think that Jack Ross must be under a bit of pressure already.
It can't go on the way it is. You know, I mean, you can't be losing 3-0 at home to St Mirren on the back of the two results that they'd had previously. And next up for them is Celtic, isn't it? So, you know, that they might regard as a free hit, although I see Jack is absolutely saying it's not a free hit because of the situation that they're in. But they can't afford another hiding, and the way that the wheels have come off is quite spectacular. They've got good players up there. He is a good manager, so they will eventually get it sorted out. I'm sure they will. But that result at the weekend is an absolute shocker for them.
Mm-hmm. And Mick, it's not just that they're losing games. It's not about 7-0, 4-1, 3-0 at home. They're getting thumped, you know, every game at the minute.
It's incredible, unravelling at Tannadice. And I think we all thought after the first leg against AZ, I think we thought we knew it was going to be a tough game for them in return, and we kind of fancied that the AZ would turn it around and deep down. I think didn't think they'd hump them for 7, but since then the confidence has completely evaporated, and it's kind of mystifying because, like you say, they're a good manager. The squad looks good. A good mix of kind of experienced pros and young talented players. But it just seems to have gone to pot. And they've got Celtic. I think they've got Celtic, Motherwell, Hibs and Rangers up the next 4 games domestically. It's perilous times up there. But I think, as I say, you think that I thought United would be a good shout to in the race for 3rd this year, maybe 4th. But they're big bother. And say Celtic could be a good game for them in terms of they can camp in and try and scrap a result. Even getting beat a couple of goals is not a bad result from if that's the case. But like you say, it could turn into another bloodbath, and the heat's going to be on. And all of a sudden, the things that looked solid about Dundee United, the squad and all that stuff, always you start thinking, well, they're got quite a high wage bill and all that stuff, and the models are a bit wonky these days the way they're doing it. And all of a sudden, the things look a bit ropey. Mm-hmm. So we're all thinking it looked hunky dory 3 weeks ago, and now it looks a disaster zone.
And David, I know at the weekend you were at McDermott Park for St Johnstone against Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. A big one for Aberdeen, and a great goal from Leighton Clarkson, an absolutely brilliant goal.
Oh, it was. You know, not even the kid's goal. His general performance was a cut above everybody else on the pitch. You know, it was Aberdeen played reasonably well, but all the creativity came for this young lad. You know, you can see he's been well schooled at Liverpool. There's no doubt about it. But the free kick was just sensational. So no, they deserved it, and St Johnstone could still be playing just now and wouldn't have scored. They created one chance in the entire game, one decent chance in the entire game. Aberdeen keeper made a decent save near the end. But other than that, although they fought well enough and defensively they were reasonably solid, they're another team that I've got real worries for, because they don't look to me as if they're capable of scoring a goal.
Mm-hmm. And to make matters worse for St Johnstone, Mick, Ross County got off the mark at the weekend with their first win at home to Kilmarnock. A big win, a really big win for Malky Mackay's team.
Yeah, but I wasn't surprised. I think Ross County a decent side. I know there's been a lot of changes up there, but Malky's got them organised, and I think they've been playing quite well, even though the results haven't been really going for them. I think they've been doing okay. So that was coming. The flip side, hard start for Kelly. I mean, Kelly, I don't know who they've upset at the league, but their fixture list they've been handed at the start of the season been horrendous. I think they've got the top 6 from last season, all in the first 6 games. I mean, back to back Celtic Rangers and all that stuff as well. So it's been a tough start for Kelly. I think they would have looked at that game at Ross County and thought that might be a chance to get off the mark a wee bit, but unfortunately it's not worked out that way. And it's going to take time for Kelly. They've got a lot of new players. I think they've been all right at times as well. So I think they should be okay, but they've been handed a real snidey start. I mean, it's horrendous for a new team coming up from the Championship to play in the top 6 in their first 6 games. So they always, but I think they knew it was going to be tough for the first month or so, but the season has to start soon.
Mm-hmm. And at Fir Park, David, the last game that we've not covered, Motherwell, really great start for Stevie Hamill, a big win over Livingston, a Livingston team that had been in great form as well.
Yeah, 2 wins in a row now, going up to Aberdeen last week and then backing it up against a Livingston team that absolutely is tough to play against and has got off to a decent start themselves. Yeah, it looks as if after the horrendous start to the season that they had, getting out of Europe early and obviously losing the manager, they've steadied the ship a wee bit. I still think that Motherwell have got a ways to go before they can look ahead with great confidence to the season. But it's a more than decent start for Stevie Hamill.
Absolutely. Guys, as ever, it's been an absolute pleasure. Should say for everyone watching, you can get involved in the discussion in the comments section below, and you can also find us on Twitter at @record_sport and on Instagram at @dailyrecord_sport. Michael, David, I hope you both have a fantastic week.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks, guys.
And I hope to be back soon. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.